Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is another episode of Them Tech Folks. I'm Rico Randall. I'm joined with one of my co-hosts, well, one of the co-hosts, Ebony. How you doing, Ebony?
I'm well. Hey, welcome everybody.
We in here. And me and Ebony, we're gonna be having a conversation with Mr. Kevin J. Foster Sr. What's good, Kevin? How
That's
you
right.
feeling, bro?
All right, all right. What's going on, everybody? Kevin J. Foster Sr. here.
Hey, man, if you don't mind, introduce yourself again and tell them what it is you do. And what's your title?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am a cybersecurity operations coordinator for a major law firm here in Philadelphia.
Major law firm. Okay, cool,
hmm
cool, cool.
hmm
So you got all the codes, all the keys. You know where the cash is.
Just a few. I just got a few keys. I'm
All
trying to
right.
get more keys. Right now, I just got a few keys.
All right, bet. Don't let too much out because we live and we gonna leave the secrets for when we go off the
That's for sure.
air. So as usual, if you've been following the show, anybody out there, make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content, or if you just want to support what we're doing, you enjoy what we're doing. That's always welcome. And Kevin, you've seen a few of the shows, so you already know how we roll it.
Sure.
Um, we want to be talking about what you do, and not only what you do, but where you came from. So, if you don't mind, give us a little bit, just a kind of an elevator pitch about where you came up from. Like where you grew up. And some of your first work history, like how that played out.
Gotcha. So, to not be too cliche, but in North Philadelphia, born and raised, right? I'm not West Philadelphia. That's Will. He on the other side over there. But yeah, but I grew up in North Philadelphia. Attended public schools there, and around 1999, I decided I wanted to do something a little different. And I wanted something up until that point, since I was graduating school, I was like working in like restaurant management. I had like done a whole food and beverage thing. I've been a chef, a baker, a sous chef. I did all that stuff. And I contemplated a career going into being an executive chef. But as I was going that route, I kind of wanted something that I didn't have to come home smelling like food all the time, right? And I said, you know what? I always liked tech. I've always been a techie type person. I would take things apart and find out how they work and things like that. So around the year 2000, I decided to go to school as a tech school, and I went to tech school for MC DBA and MCSE, and because that was the hot thing at the time.
When you say tech school, bro, are you saying like Georgia Tech or Virginia Tech, or was
It
it
was like
like
no,
certification based?
yeah, it was a cert based school. They did teach. They did have full courses. I don't know if you want me to say the name, but
No, it's
um,
fine if you don't want to.
yeah, it's cool. But I mean, they're good school. I take nothing away from that. But yeah, they did their thing, and about a year after that, I actually took a Security Plus course, and that was the start. That was like the seed that was planted. I was intrigued by it, and at the time, I was working for a restaurant, and the owner had one of the owners of this franchise. They had a tech outfit in New York. And ironically enough, this is where these times in history. Ironically enough, I was supposed to go to visit him on September 11th, right?
Wow.
And I remember it well. It was a Tuesday, and I was headed up that way, and then turned on the news, and then everything happened. But that was that. But I did go back and visit him a month later,
Okay.
and he took me around about what he did. He basically was like a break fix person, and we went all around New York, the walking tour, and he visited clients and solved their issues, and I saw how he solved problems, and how users reacted to him and everything like that. And I said, this is pretty cool. This is kind of what I want to do.
How are they
So
reacting to him though?
I mean, they reacted well because this was during the age when most of the times your issues with computers were, I need a mouse, I need a keyboard, or my drive isn't working. More hands-on break fix kind of
Give
things,
me some
right?
more RAM. My stuff is slow.
Exactly, and that was it, right? That
So
was
he was
always it.
God. There was what is it, coming to America throwing rose petals in front of his
Exactly,
feet when he coming out.
exactly, exactly. Right. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like everybody came in like, hey, Alvin, what's going on? And it was like, oh man. I'm like, all right, I like that. I
Yeah,
like those kind of accolades.
yeah.
So I came back, and I mean that whole visit is a whole nother story, because I actually went to visit the site where everything happened at, and that was a whole big thing. But I
You mean like
came
ground
back.
zero?
Yeah, I actually went to ground zero. It was still like, watery and dusty, and you couldn't get close obviously, but I was like a block away.
Yeah.
You could see everything, and to see it at one time for what it was, but then see it actually for what it was afterwards, that was a whole different, it's a whole different mind game. You see it on TV is one thing, but they're looking at it live is it's a whole different thing.
It throws your reality into like some kind of weird place, right? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, it does. You just look at it, you're like, wow, I can't believe what I'm looking at. You know what I mean? So, but I took that and I said, you know what? I think this is what I want to do. And so I started applying to some companies that were hiring in my area. But I mean, at that time, you remember, this is the year 2000, 2001. And I'm like, well, what would I even apply for? What could I even do? And it was a small nonprofit that gave me a shot, brought me in, had a fantastic interview. That was my first director, I guess you could say. And I still talk with him. I had lunch with him about 2 or 3 months ago. I had lunch with him, and we still keep in touch. So he was the person that basically changed my life, right? Because the shot that he gave me set me on a course to put me in where I am today. So I always like to, shout him out and give him props. Just say, Mr. Ken changed my life. So, and that kind of taught me the value of giving people a chance, right? Giving people a shot. And I've always taken that with me because I know how I felt when I got that first chance, when I got that first shot, right? And, from there, that's what I've been all about. And so that was my first job, was an MIS tech assistant or an MIS assistant for a nonprofit. And I did that for a few years. And then from there, I like moved on. From there was when I first got my first corporate gig. I was a contractor for an insurance company. And, from there, I went to a hospital and did that for 12 years. And then a point in time came when you have to make what I call the leap. You got to take the jump.
What was the jump?
And the jump was, so I had a job that I was well in. I had moved twice in that job. I had moved from a service desk analyst to a systems admin. And then I moved from a system admin to a security administrator. And
So
that was over the course of 12 years.
over the course of 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you was in these roles for a few years
Yep.
at a time, not, in this role 3 months, moving around.
No, no. I think I was service desk. I spent like 6 years there. And then I spent, no, yeah, 5 years there, 6 years there. And then sysadmin, I spent 2 or 3 years there. And then the last 3 years I spent as security. That was my first
So,
security.
Kevin, were these promotions or were you just applying for other jobs within the organization?
Well, that's another issue, right? There were more or less lateral moves.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about the last move from sysadmin to security admin, there was a gentleman who was working on the sysadmin team who was working on the security team, who wanted to be in the sysadmin team. And at the time, everybody knew that I wanted to be in security. So it was like, well, this is just math, right? We'll just put him here and put him here. And that's basically what happened. This is why I'm always an advocate of, you got to tell people, what you want to do, what your dreams and aspirations are. And you got to work and move toward those things. Because I was doing security related things and sharing information, sending out emails to my group, about things that were happening. And I was just a service desk analyst at that time. So everyone knew what I wanted to do. I got my first certification, that was Security Plus, back in 2007, right? So I wasn't even working in security at that time, right? So everyone knew, but I wanted to be in security. So when the opportunity came, I interviewed and I had to go through the whole process. But that's eventually what happened. I interviewed and I got to be a sysadmin. And then after that interview, I worked there for a couple of years. And then that's when the transition happened. And I actually moved on to the security team.
Do you remember those interviews? Like
Oh,
what
yeah.
your emotional, your state of mind was? Were you nervous? And how do you feel? How do you feel about your performance? You feel like you were like extra, prepared or over prepared or not, and prepared enough?
I think it's different now, right? Now you have so many resources. You have, YouTube, and you have all kind of
Yeah.
resources that you can use to prepare for interviews. Back then, this is like 2012, something like that, 2015. It was more or less, it was more technical, right? That's when I won't say the certifications don't matter now, but it mattered more then because certification meant that you had knowledge of something and you could do something, right? So I relied on and I just basically leaned on the certifications that I had gotten. At that point, I had two. I had a GSEC from SANS and I had Security Plus from CompTIA. So in my mind, I was the most qualified person in the whole company because no one else in the company had those certifications. So I'm
Yeah.
like, well, if we talking about me being on a security team, I mean, I've got two of the foundational certs right in the industry.
GSEC is a strong one, bro. That's a
Yeah.
strong one.
So I
Hey,
had to.
I took the first one because it's a 2-part exam. Is it still a 2-part exam?
No, it's one part now.
One
It
part
used to
now.
be two part. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we had
GSEC.
a
Yeah.
boot camp when I was in the Marine Corps, and they give you the class and they let you sit for the exam like right out there, and then they gave you
Yeah.
some time to reschedule or schedule for the second one if you passed the first one,
Right.
and
Right.
it's open book, right?
Yes.
And so I managed to weasel through and pass like barely by the skin of my teeth. And I was so intimidated by that exam, bro. I never went and took the second one. Like, but it's a tough one though, bro.
It is tough. It is a tough. It is. I think it's 180 questions and it's 5 hours, I believe. Yeah.
What does GSEC stand for?
For GSEC for SANS. Oh,
Yeah.
security. It's like a security fundamentals
Well,
course. GSEC.
I know when we use these acronyms and people are listening, they don't know what that is.
Oh, okay. So it's security essentials certification is what it is. And it's one of the premier certifications for the security industry. I would say it's probably lesser known than CompTIA, but only
Yeah.
because it does take a lot to get to it. It's for some folks it's pretty expensive, right? But in a lot of companies, they still frown upon trying to pay for that for you to go to that. I mean, it's still relatively expensive, but I always say it's worth the money you pay to take it because it does make a difference. It
How much
does.
is it?
Right now, it's about like 8,700 per class.
Oh,
Right,
for
and
the class, not the
Mhm.
actual exam, not for
the
the
exam
voucher.
is an additional, I think, additional 600 or 700. Yeah, and then you put on top of that hotel if you're traveling, and then travel, of course, food.
That's like 2 mortgage payments.
Exactly.
That's a full investment.
It can,
You
it
know
can
what?
easily
You know what?
be.
I'm tripping. I'm tripping. You said GSEC.
Yeah, GSEC,
I took
GSEC.
GAC. GAC
Yeah,
is the one I
GAC,
think
same
that's
thing.
two.
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah, that's the same thing. Well,
Oh,
GAC is the certification body. GSEC is the name of the course that I took.
okay.
Security Essentials
Okay.
certification.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but it's GAC.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I like saying sirs, man.
Oh
That's
yeah,
I always told people, man, if you got a saying sir, you know your stuff. I got a good feeling that you know your stuff.
I got a
You
few.
know.
I got a few. I took some and didn't pass. So that it's not all roses. It's some thorns in those roses, right? So
SANS certs are expensive, but like they really validate your skill sets. I think I read somewhere last week, maybe they have a few scholarships,
yes,
and they have a few programs that you can take where you get discounted rates for the classes?
Yes, you can. You can get discounted rates. There's also a work study program, which is a lot of the ways that I lately anyway have taken advantage of, going to get the certification and at the same time helping out, right? So the SANS work study program, and you can like Google this. It's not like a secret or anything
This
like
is
that,
top
but
secret.
yeah,
Everybody
it's not top
lean in.
secret.
This is top secret.
Earmuffs,
Lean
earmuffs,
in.
everybody, earmuffs.
Right. So the work study program works. Basically, you come in a day before and you help set up the event. You may load books into bags, help set up classrooms, do things like that. And for that, you're given a steep discount on the actual course. But what you're really meant to do is you're meant to sit in the class and be a facilitator to the instructor. So if the instructor needs something, they need to go grab something, that you would be the person that does that. If they need water, if they need a certain something, or if they're having problems in the classroom, you would communicate that to the staff that is on site. And basically, I mean, I've done work study like 4 or 5 times so far, and every time I've done it, I've always sat in the class for the entire time with no issues.
Nice.
Right. But what you get for that, when you pay that discounted price, you actually get to sit in on the class, of course, like everyone else. You participate in all the labs and things like that. But then you also get the MP3s. You get that. You get a certification attempt. You get that. And then you get 4 months of on-demand access. So you basically can take the class again, right, for 4 months after you actually sat in the class, at the event. So that's why I always tell folks, there's ways that you can, get around paying the hefty price. I mean, if you can just go and be a student and your company is willing to do that, that's fantastic. But if you can't and you're looking for a way in, I recommend to several people do work study. It's not tremendously hard. You show up a day before, you do like some of the prep work and help get everything set up. And then the next day you're like in the class, right? And then at the end of the conference, you may help break down some signage, or maybe break down, well, not the tables because that's the hotel's responsibility, but maybe you help bag things up, because, SANS is an organization unto itself and not just the instructors. So you help with that part of it, but it's not like you're going to be in there sweating, working 8 hours a day, right? You're probably pretty much done when the class is done. So I always tell folks, definitely check out the work study program.
And then as soon as you pass that SANS certification, somebody's gonna put 6 figures in your pocket.
So you
True
know how to
story.
push my buttons, don't you?
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, so me and Kevin, for anybody that doesn't know, me and Kevin, we met on social media on an
Yes, sir.
app called Clubhouse,
Yes, sir.
where I was in one of his rooms. He hosts several rooms throughout the week, helping people pivot into cyber. And
Absolutely.
you guys also field a lot of questions that people have. There's a lot of
Absolutely.
interesting questions, and I think that'd be a good idea to kind of talk about some of those burning questions that you find are
Sure.
most,
Sure.
prominent. Um,
Mhm.
but before we do that, you hear that?
Oh, you know what? So yeah, I heard
It's
that.
storming over on your side.
Yes, no, I'm good over here. Actually, it's like
Are you?
almost 60 degrees.
Where you at? You're not in Tampa, are you? I'm in Tampa. There's a lot of thunder over here,
Ah, okay.
but I don't think that's. Yeah, it's thunder, but that ain't what that is. It
Yeah,
ain't the
it's like
weather,
a
brother.
quiet
It's
storm getting ready to
that
come on.
is that is a telltale sign that we've moved into a segment of the show called Dim Lightning Lessons. All right.
Mm,
So what lightning lessons is, and you can thank Miss Ebony for being the inventor, or she's the brains behind this whole
okay,
thing.
Ebony. Okay.
So what we're proposing is that, during this time in the show, you have to deliver a period of instruction that cannot exceed 60 seconds. We'll give you some time to think about a topic that you can squeeze into that micro time,
Okay.
but you're going to be imagining that you're trying to give a class before the elevator stops.
Gotcha.
All right.
Gotcha.
So whenever you're ready, announce what you're going to be, instructing us on, and I'll get the time ready.
Okay.
Give me
Ready?
give me 1 second.
Let's see. Let me take a sip.
You gotta take a sip of that
You gotta
sweet
get
tea.
ready. You gotta get ready
Sip
because
of my
it's
tea.
time. It's time.
Shout out to everybody that says Security Plus in shades. So you know me. That's the whole shades thing. So just so
Man,
you
cool.
know.
Hey, man, too cool for school, bro. All right, let me find one of these.
Now, Kevin, before you start, you gotta tell us what you're gonna teach us, and then
Sure.
you have 60 seconds to teach it to us.
Sure. Absolutely. Whenever
As
you're
soon as
ready.
Rico figure out this timer.
All good.
We're gonna give Rico 1 minute to figure out the timer. And we're gonna give,
I'll get another minute to say what's going on.
we're gonna
Okay.
give Kevin 1 minute to teach it and 2 seconds to tell us what he's teaching. Okay.
All right, I got it.
You
Okay,
got it?
we ready.
All right.
Maybe we're ready. We close to being ready. So, Kevin,
All right, let's go.
we're ready.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So, what I'm going to talk about today is the 3 core principles of cybersecurity, and that's confidentiality, integrity, and availability. All right. So, confidentiality, integrity, and availability is the 3 core pillars of cybersecurity. And what does that stand for? Yes, it basically says CIA, but this is referred to as the CIA triad. And what that CIA triad is, there are 3 things that that are the core foundation of cybersecurity. First is confidentiality. Confidentiality is protecting the data, keeping secrets secret. Integrity is actually making sure that data is not changed or altered. And then, of course, availability is making sure that data is available in a timely fashion to those who need access to it. Those are the 3 core pillars of cybersecurity, and they form the foundation of cybersecurity and security in any technology that you may work or any vertical that you may work in this field.
Dang, bruh.
It's a great job. Whoa.
I tried.
You put that thing right down to the second.
Because he could see the timer. That's why
I can see it.
He could see the timer. He was like, let me draw it down a little bit.
Yeah,
Add a
let me
couple
draw it
more
down
words.
because I was getting ready to go into the opposite of CIA. But yeah, I
Take
said,
it slow.
No, I'm gonna take it.
Man, that's
Just take it
a
slow. Give 'em a little
professional at work right there, bro. Like
Try,
for you
bro,
to be
try.
able to like, yeah, because some people even if they're seeing it, they can't like really, chop it down to where it like hits right where it needs to be. So it's evident that you do this quite a bit.
It's been this will be my 25th year.
25th year.
25th year. It's IT and cybersecurity. I
That's
started in
incredible,
December of 2001.
man.
So those are just
And,
IT.
and that's what
Cyber wasn't even a thing.
yeah, that's what a late start.
Yeah, that's it. That's a late start, right?
Because you had a
Exactly.
career already,
I want to be real clear.
That's
There's no
correct.
such thing as late in a career. Okay.
You know what's funny? You say
No
that.
such thing. Ain't no such
Relatively.
thing. No such thing as late. Every day is a new day.
It's timing, right? Timing. That's what it is.
And
It's
your
timing.
timing is perfect for you,
There
but
you
the
go.
implication of late means that someone else who hasn't started already
Right.
is going to have a much more difficult time. And that's not the
Oh
case.
no. That's the one thing I will say about this industry. There's always been the talk of ageism, and I can't say with certainty that ageism does not exist. But I also can't say that I've seen folks who have years of experience and age in this industry not get a job either. Right? I have not heard of somebody saying, you know what, I wanted a job and I had the skills. They just said I'm too old. I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
I don't think
Many
they're
times.
allowed to say it like that.
That's true. But you know how that is, right? You know things are changing, right? Times are changing.
No, I get it. You know, I had to stop putting my name on my resume because they knew I was a lady.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, right? Yeah. Absolutely.
So in all the years of you've been, helping people, right?
Mhm.
What's been the most gratifying experience for you?
I think the most gratifying thing all the time is how folks can realize their dream, right? I mean, I've talked to a lot of people. I've even helped, like in the last corporate job I had. There was a gentleman who wanted to get into cybersecurity, so I started prepping him for my job that I had. And when I left, I campaigned very strongly for him to get the job, and he got it. Right. So that's what he wanted to do. He also, he followed pretty much the roadmap that I, laid out for him. I said, hey, go to SANS, take these classes, study for this particular thing, get this certification, start building your tech stack of skills, and he got the job. And then he's moved on since to do other things, but that's with anybody that I talk to, right? It's
Yeah.
part of finding out what they want to do, right? That's the key, because most folks say, I want to be in cybersecurity, but cybersecurity has 20 different fields, right?
Did you
More
play a
than
role in
20.
helping him figure out what he wanted to
Exactly.
do? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the key. What do
And
you want to do?
we talked about this on Clubhouse, right? Quite a few
Absolutely.
times, and we definitely talked about this on the show like a number of times as well about, because this is a prime example of one person, holding down the roles of mentor, right? Helping
Hmm.
someone chart a path, and
Hmm.
then advocate. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Campaigning for this person to get in a role, and those are very important parts. The only thing, that might not have, that you might not have, you might have, might not have, but it wasn't mentioned was like the coaching piece, which is once he's gotten a path, now you're helping
Exactly.
him traverse that
Exactly. Stay
path.
on
But
that.
that's
Right.
that's incredible, bro.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do coaching as well. I probably do more teaching and things than I do on the coaching side, but I definitely coach folks as well. I've gotten calls, emails. Can we do a 15-minute Zoom call? I've gotten those kind of calls before, and it's just basically just helping someone. It's almost like when you help someone finally see the light, and they're like, "Oh, okay, now I get it. Right now I understand why things the way they are." It helps a lot, right? Because out here there's a lot of misinformation. So.
Yeah.
So, Kevin, we know why you teach, but what is your favorite thing to teach?
My favorite thing to teach right now is two classes we do. Professor Rogers Cyber Lounge. So if you haven't tapped in on that, tapped in LinkedIn, Professor Rogers Cyber Lounge. ISC Squared, certified in cybersecurity certification. It's a foundational security certification, and then of course Security Plus by CompTIA. Those are the
I
two things
love
I
a
like
good
to teach.
security plus.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's the
like
best
to
way.
teach the CGRC, the governance, risk, and
Ah,
compliance.
I was looking at that.
Oh my gosh. And the ISSEP, Information Systems Security
Hmm.
Professional,
I was looking at that.
because it sounds like you are a fan of fundamental. And I
Yes,
love that because that's a really like foundational piece as you continue through your 30 avenues of cyber.
exactly.
But for me, I like to make sure things are efficiently done.
Correct. I got
There-
you. I
there's
got you.
a process, there's an organization. These are pieces that you need.
That's right.
Go to Kevin's Foundations, bring that in here. You're going to
That's
use,
right.
you're going to build on that, and we're going to expand it. Oh
That's
my
right.
gosh. Yeah. So you teach for ISC Squared, you teach ISC Squared courses, CompTIA courses, and SANS courses.
I don't teach SANS courses yet. I'm working
Okay.
toward that.
You
That's
just
my ultimate
advertising.
goal. Yeah. I forgot I had the shirt on. Yeah, actually, I'm advertising in that
Oh,
regard,
this whole
right?
thing.
Dress for the job you
That's
want.
fine.
Dress
Yeah,
for the
this whole
job you
thing.
want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I only have about 12 of them. Anybody
Big
who
shout out to
knows,
Sands. Y'all need to
yeah, big
email
shout out to
Kevin.
SANS. Absolutely.
Recruit him, bring him in.
I'm a
Big
SANS
fan.
fan. I'll tell you in a
You feel me?
second. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's been a journey. It's what I would end up doing, right? If I had my dream life, I always tell folks, imagine your dream life, and what would you do if money were no object, but you had to do something? What would you do? And for me, that would be I would teach for 6 months of the year, and I would consult for the other 6 months of the year. That's my ideal life.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Mine too.
See. So
Actually,
yeah.
it was on. We did a show. I'm not sure if you might have been on. You might have been with us,
Hmm.
or it might have been Reggie Ebony, but we had an interview with the. He does like databases. He does consulting on SQL databases for organizations. But I told him about
I think I seen
being
that.
reached out to by B-Sides Tampa, to put my hat in the ring for like some training.
Hmm.
So I put I put in the application, see if it would get approved. And a few days ago, I actually got approved to do a training before the conference this year.
Nice.
Right, besides Tampa 2025, I'll be doing a course called Deploying and Configuring Kubernetes Clusters
Nice.
for beginners. So I'm in the middle of still finalizing that.
Nice.
Thursday nights I do demos, as you know, so I'll
Mm-hmm.
be hashing that out during that time. But if you're in the area, if you're in the Tampa Bay area around May 16, yeah, May
Okay.
16th is when the class is going. That's the day
Cool.
before the conference. The conference is going to be that weekend. So if you're going to
Cool.
be in the Tampa Bay area, definitely look up, B-sides and lock in. I'd love to see you at a class so we can chop it up.
Absolutely. I just did the B sides up here in Philly a few months back. Actually, Professor Roger and myself, we did B sides here. We did as volunteers and such, so we were helping with that. So yeah, and I've done the B sides for Philly a couple years back, like before COVID, right? So I always try to stay active in the game, right? And I always tell folks, you can say you want to do this, but this is not a 9 to 5 type of career. You're almost always doing something else. You're
Yeah.
always doing like the next thing. I'll say it's 5 and maybe my job is done, but I have to do research on this or I have to look up that, right? So you're never going to be quote unquote done with it, right? But
Unless
it
you want
can
to
consume
stagnate.
you. Yeah, exactly, exactly. You can do that,
Yeah.
but you may get replaced by AI in that regard. But yeah, you definitely got to keep moving. It's definitely a exciting field to be in.
So,
So, Kevin, right now you work at a law firm and you've
Hmm.
held a couple of other security roles in
Hmm.
other places. I think you said you worked at a hospital previously.
Hmm.
What are two consistent things that you find always have to be addressed as a security professional, regardless of industry?
I guess the obvious answer, I guess the simplistic answer is
Obvious.
it's protecting data, right? Whether it's
Mm.
patient records for a hospital or client matter files for a law firm, or it's manufacturing and it's trade secrets for an outfit. Um, that's always the goal, right? And this is why the foundational elements, when I talk about CIA, the reason why that was so easy, because that applies to every company you go to, right? So a hospital will do things differently than a law firm, obviously, and they're going to do different things than a manufacturing plant would do, but they all have one thing in common, and that is the protection of their data, right? And the integrity of their data and the availability of their data. That's going to apply no matter where you work, right? So that's why I always stress that, that is one of the fundamental things that you have to learn, and you should know it hands down, right? We take our time teaching ISC squared and CompTIA because we want folks to understand it. It may be 40 hours of content, but we break it down once a week for like 10 weeks for ISC Square and like 24 weeks for CompTIA. And we do that because we try to, you know, get people engaged, because IT, cybersecurity, can be boring, right? The concepts that you have to learn, like encryption and things like that, it can put you to sleep. So we try to keep it engaging. We do YouTube videos, song parodies, we play Jeopardy, right? And we use all kind of real life examples to keep folks engaged, to help them get it, right? So it's not merely just me standing in front of the room and just talking. No, we're going to get you engaged. We get folks to come off mic. We get folks to come on camera and talk about their questions, what kind of issues they're having. How do you understand it? Let me give you an example of that. That's my nickname, is kind of like Mr. Examples. Professor Roger is Mr. Fundamentals, right? But we use that approach because it's so important to get this stage of your career right. Right? It's like if you break your finger, and if you don't straighten it out properly the first time after it sets, it's going to be like that forever, right? And it's going to take hell and high water to fix it, right? So we try to make sure that folks get the fundamentals right the first time, So that way you can always, vary from whatever you want. If you want to do GRC, or if you want to do blue teaming, red teaming, you can do all those things. But if you don't have the fundamentals correct from the start, yeah, you're going to have a tough road to hoe.
1,000%, man. 1,000%. So you told me earlier about the most gratifying part of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most stressful part of it? Like, what's the most challenging part, I guess, is a better question.
I
Is it
think
motivation? Like, is it people that kind of like think that, getting into this industry is a lot easier than it actually is? Or
that's
like,
for
what
sure.
is it?
That's for sure. For me, stressful. I try to look at it two different ways. Like, one way you look at it is, I know what I'm doing. I'm confident in my abilities, right? But there's always that, am I going to be okay here? Is this going to work? Right. I remember the very first time, because you get comfortable in things. So like I said, I spent 12 years in a hospital, and I left there to do a 6-month contract to hire position for a manufacturing company. And it was interesting because everyone was telling me, why would you leave here? You've been here all this time. You can probably retire in a couple years. You put a couple more years in, you can leave and do your thing. And that's that jump I was talking about. You got to be sometimes willing to take that leap. And I guess the most stressful thing is walking into a new opportunity, knowing you can do the job, knowing you have the skills, but then how to apply that to the new position that you're in, right? Because I was at the hospital for a while, and then once I left there, I went to into manufacturing and things like that, and then from there, I stayed there for 3 years, right? So what was supposed to be a 6-month contract turned into 3 years. So I just kept getting re-upped and re-upped and re-upped, and I'm like, okay, I'm good with that. And then finally, I moved to the firm, and I remember my first day there, after I knew I had gotten the job and all the other things were straight, and they took me up to my office where I was going to sit, and I remember I'm sitting in the office, and I was like, what do I even do? Right? We're talking about client matters. We're talking about intellectual property, right? How do you even go? It was my first time in the legal field, so I had to get a hold of myself and say, okay, you know what to do. It's just applying it to what you're doing now. So all you need to do is understand how the legal field works, and then take those same security principles and apply them to the legal field. Right. So once you understand that process, then it's not hard to apply the security concepts to that. Right. Because it's mostly about access controls and things like that. So that part. But now just apply that to the legal process, like who gets access to certain things, who doesn't, how assessments and questionnaires get completed. Because my role there in the firm is like GRC. So that in itself is another field that I hadn't worked in prior to that. Prior to that, I was more like blue teamer, right? And sysadmin security. So that's a new field in itself as well. So it's knowing the frameworks of how things work and how it applies, how you get the company to follow their regulations and the frameworks that are in place for them. So it's that's the stressful part.
Yeah.
But knowing that you know your stuff, and knowing that you just need to apply that to the new opportunity you have, should get you through that. But it is a process.
Knowing Ebony back then would have had you straight, bro. She would have had you
For sure.
straight, bro.
For sure.
Like,
I love it. I'm like, okay, what do you like to do? And then let's figure out how we can apply this to your
Exactly.
regular day. Like, yes,
Exactly.
absolutely. I'm here for it.
man,
All the time.
she would have coached you through that thing, bro. She would
Exactly.
have showed up early in the morning, like 5 in the morning. You've been like,
That's it. Let's go.
why you licking your lips? Oh, it's gonna be fun.
Exactly.
I'm like, it's about to be great. About to run up these steps. Don't worry about it.
What does running have to do with GRC? Just run.
Perfect.
That's it.
Do
That's
some
it.
push-ups.
I always encourage people to take like personality tests, right? So they
Nice.
know who they are. Once you take a personality test, find out who you are, then marry that to a technology field that you could do. Because you may want to be like everybody wants to be the star quarterback, right?
Yep.
But maybe you're a fantastic wide receiver. You're still on the field,
Yeah.
right? Maybe you just can be a great coach.
I'm trying to be a
You're still on the
water
field.
boy.
Exactly.
Water boy.
Listen,
Sometimes,
I don't
right?
want to be in the middle of none of the action. I want to make sure everybody got the tools and resources to be
Everybody's
successful.
hydrated. That's right.
That's what I
That's
want to
right.
make sure. You got your
But
tools
guess
and
what?
resources. Go and get out there. I'm
There
not
you
about to
go.
get hit.
There
I ain't
you
about to
go.
throw nothing. I'm about to be over here.
I'm not accusing anybody of anything, Kevin, but I'm sure Muzz would be like, "Why does this water taste like vodka?
There you go.
Is this
Sometimes
sangria?"
that's what you need. That's the tool or resource you need.
It's
Okay.
like don't swig too much of that water, sir. Just a little
Sometimes.
bit.
Sometimes.
Why is he giving me my water in shots? He's not giving it to me in a bottle. Give it
We
to
don't
me
want you to be overhydrated. To be overhydrated.
Right, there you go.
You know what I'm saying?
There you
It's a
go.
ratio to this. It's a ratio.
Exactly.
Straight like that.
Yeah, it's a ratio. Don't worry about it.
So personalities, right? That's interesting, bro. Like I've heard you talk about this, and it's always been interesting to me, right? How you can take a person's personality profile and match that up to a professional technical profile.
Yeah.
Like, can you give me like one or two examples of like some personality traits? What professional traits they would kind of like correlate directly to or closely to?
Every year I try to take a personality test because you change, you should grow every year, right? So every year I take an assessment where I am, what I want to accomplish, etc. And I take a personality test, and you can do that for free online. It's like a lot of free sites that can do that for you. And I think the one thing that I always have, like if you take the Myers-Briggs, which is it's like they give you like a chart. And I think this may be for the paid version, but the idea is there are 4 quadrants, right? And depending on where you score in that quadrant, kind of gives you an idea of the kinds of things that you may be great at. Like early in my career, the reason why I took MCDBA is because I took a personality test, and it was saying that I would be great at transportation management and database management. Now, what's interesting about that is I do a lot of, well, I mean, in between the career thing that's always been there, I do a lot of music stuff. So I collect music, I collect vinyl, I produce stuff. Music is my thing. And I always liked categorizing what albums I had, what CDs I had, what cassettes, yes, cassettes I had. And I wanted to make sure I put all those in a proper order so that way I don't buy duplicates and things like that. And so I had to develop a database for that. So when it came to understanding databases and how things work and how you do add and join statements and select statements and all that, I didn't have a problem with it because I would just take my project for music and just apply it to the database stuff I was learning in class, right? So that is one example, taking something that you love and then just marrying that to something that's technical if you want to work in tech. The personality part of it is what kind of person are you? Are you a free thinker? Are you like open, or are you very regimented? Are you like a micromanager type? Because if you're a micromanager type and you're working with someone who's like abstract thinking, who is like always like, hey, we can do this, we can do that. Hey, look at this over here. That's great. We should work on that. You may not get along with that person as far as a working relationship because they're very micromanaging, very focused. Right. So if you're a person that's all the way out here with your personality test, like because they're like 4 dots, and it's the 4 dots are in a pie shape, and there's 4 quadrants, and the dots closer they are to the center, the more you are of that particular characteristic. And then the further away they are is the more like Like if you're like judging is the one thing that everybody has. Like it's the J if you're taking the 16 personalities. But how much do you judge, right? I remember taking this exam. It's not an exam. It's more like a test, and my dot was way out here near the edge, right? And when you look at everyone else's chart that you're working with, and we were a team of about 10, like their dots were closer inside and some toward the center, but my dot was way out here. And it helps you to understand who you're working with, right? And because sometimes it may not be that the person doesn't like you or something like that. It may just be that you're working, your characteristics don't always fit. And if the director or the manager of that team knows where to put you, you can be a great asset. But if they put you in the wrong spot or pair you with the wrong person, it can be disastrous, right? So that's the one thing I like about personality tests, because it kind of helps you define who you are. And it also makes for a great interview question. So when you get told, okay, tell me a little bit about yourself, you could take some cues from your personality test and say who you are, right? And then the person who's interviewing may say, you know what? I can pair you with this person. They're just like you guys will make a great team.
Yeah.
Right.
They lock
So
in.
exactly, they can lock you in. But if you hadn't given that information, that may not, they may put you with someone where you may have had a harder time adjusting. Right. So that's the reason for that, I think.
When you said Myers-Briggs, I thought 16 personalities, and then you was
Yep.
like a quadrant. I'm like, man, I don't
Yeah,
think I
same
remember the
thing.
quadrant. But yeah, I did that same one. I'm INTJ.
Right.
So it
Right.
was telling me I'm like have a high propensity for like being an architect, right? So yeah, kind of like it really explains a lot of
Exactly.
why you enjoy the things you enjoy, and
Exactly.
it'll also tell you like personalities that you draw closer to, and ones you should kind of like steer clear
Exactly.
of, because you may have conflict due to your
Exactly.
differences.
Exactly.
The challenge with that, of course, though, is that, as Kevin mentioned, you got to do it regularly because
Correct.
you change. Like our experiences over time change who we are and how we react to things. So you can't take the test once and be like, "Oh, this is it.
That's
This
it.
is all,"
Right.
because
Exactly.
you find that you get yourself into an environment and it doesn't suit you anymore because you're not the same person that you were when you took that test the first time.
Exactly. Exactly. I take it every year, right after right after the new year, like when I'm off that New Year's Day, most times, that's when I'll take it. You know what I mean? Change your
That's for your
password.
reset. That's good job.
My reset. Change
Change
your password.
words. Take the
Put-
personality test.
Take the personality test and put new batteries in your smoke detector.
Take that
That's
shot of
three
vodka.
things.
Change
Then
those
take the shot.
passwords. Get those smoke detector batteries changed.
That's right. That's right.
It's
That's
not
right.
vodka, it's water.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Small doses of water.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I knew it was gonna be a good interview. So
So wait a minute. Before we let you go, Kevin, I just have a really quick question.
Sure.
What is your favorite Philly snack?
Favorite Philly snack?
Yeah.
Philly soft pretzels with spicy brown mustard.
I was
from
going to
Golden.
say with what though? Oh, the
Come on now.
Okay.
Spicy brown mustard from Golden's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Gotta have
shout out
that.
to the foodies.
I'll allow it.
Right. You would think I say cheesesteak, but
I don't.
Philly pretzels. Yeah.
You know, my
They're
favorite Philly snack is a tasty cake. They
Yes.
make a maple pancake filled
Oh, really?
tasty cake. Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
It has like a maple icing and it has
Yeah.
like a pancake cake, and then it has like a sweet buttercream inside.
Oh,
Anyway,
wow.
I'm not going to
Okay.
get into it, but I'm gonna tell you it's seasonal, so you don't get it all the
Yeah.
time. It's tasty
Okay.
cake.
Okay. Well, you can order online and have stuff shipped to you. You know that,
No,
right?
you can't, because Florida does not allow cream filled things to show up because the temperature changes result in mold sometimes inside.
Okay. All
Don't
right.
ask me
I'll
how
let
I
you
know
run-
that. That's not important, but
I'll let you run with
let
that.
me know. I done tried.
Sounds like an experience.
I'll let you run with that. but hit me up if you need that fix. I got you.
I almost called that a segment, but I'm not gonna chance it. We live.
You can
Did
do
you
that,
just
bro.
did
Sure,
you
show.
just call your audience members big bags? Like what the heck? Canceled.
See, I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to keep
Listen,
up.
you don't gotta have a big back because you appreciate culinary arts.
That's my niece, man. She Marco's
Relax,
daughter, man. She be calling people names.
It's
She
your
got me
relax.
a
big back
short. She got me a
reference.
short king.
Well,
Oh
you are,
wow, wow, a short
and there's
king.
nothing wrong with that. She added the king, and I think that's the most important thing. But back to you, Kevin.
Oh man, there's certain things that just
Let
keep
my
up on
trauma on the
culture
show.
is like craziness, especially diabolical. That's the new one, I guess, for me now.
Is it? I love a good diabolical.
Everything is diabolical. It's like, well, that's
Everything is crazy
diabolical.
work or
Crazy
diabolical.
word.
I'm here
Yeah,
for
that's
it.
another one. That's
Yes.
another one.
Yeah.
Keep up. Keep up.
I mean, you gotta relate to your audience and your
That's true.
students. So you know
That's
what I'm saying?
true.
You gotta keep your ear to the streets. You gotta figure
That's
out
true.
what they talking about, how are they phrasing it.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. And you gotta know, it's like, am I that guy? I don't want to become that old man, on the porch. Get off my lawn, you
Mm-mm.
youngsters. I don't want to become that guy.
You can't
So,
be that guy. You gotta
gotta
minimize
keep
the
up.
ops. That's your job. You gotta
Exactly.
be out here.
Yeah,
Yes.
the ops. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's you.
I'm up on it.
We
I'm
can't
on it.
all do that. That's gonna be my role.
Oh, all right.
Get off my grass. You ain't
Get
got
off
no
my
grass.
grass.
It's all rocks. I don't care.
Well,
You know, you don't know how to walk. Didn't your parents teach you anything?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So Kevin, you've
Oh
you've
man.
alluded to what you guys are doing, you and Professor Roger, that great work you guys are doing
Mhm.
on the backside. Do you want to kind of like give a little bit more, give a little bit more context? You don't have to like go through and give a whole class or
Sure.
nothing like that, but
Sure.
just a basic breakdown for anyone that may be potentially interested in joining you guys, because you guys do quite
Sure.
a bit throughout the week.
Correct.
Like I
Correct.
got a
Yeah.
whole marathon going over there.
Exactly. We're actually holding a session right at this moment, Tech Tuesday. So I'll start. I guess I'll start on Monday. So Monday we have Cloud Mondays, and that's with Tanera Burke Lloyd. She does cloud. We basically break down, if you want to get into cloud security, how does that work? How do cloud concepts? What are cloud concepts? What are some things you should know? How do cloud fit together with the various platforms? What's the shared security model, etc. Things like that. And that class is going very well. And then we have on Tuesdays, we have Tech Tuesday with Antoine Jordan. We talk about various tech topics, the latest news. Antoine always has an agenda about what he wants to talk about. And then folks jump in, and usually we end up going left sometimes because, the cybersecurity world is so crazy at times. And then on Wednesdays, we have ISC Squared, where we teach that course. And it's the fundamentals of ISC Squared, and it's more like the risk based. It's more risk based than Security Plus. So we teach that on Wednesdays. On Thursday, we have Career Thursday. So if you're interested in getting into cybersecurity or getting into IT, we give you various tips on that. Some helpful careers you may consider, and just your general path, how to get into IT, how to get into cybersecurity. If you even should take the path that you're taking, because you may be, hitting your head against the wall for no reason, right? We'll show you a better way. So we show you that interviewing tips, resume optimization, LinkedIn optimization, things like that. And then on Friday we take a break, because life is life, and. And then on Saturday mornings we do Security Plus. That's where we do the Security Plus training, and that usually lasts for a few hours on Saturday mornings. And then of course on Sunday you have Sundays with Cyber, and that's me on Clubhouse. Moving to fan base, I may add. So
I've been
yeah,
considering the same thing because I kind of do. I don't do the full marathon like you guys do,
right.
but I do like a listening party. I can't wait to have a listening party with this episode.
Oh, it's
I
gonna be
do that
fire.
on Mondays, and then we record obviously on Tuesday, so I'm not doing anything. And
Yeah,
then
it's
on
gonna be fire.
Thursdays it's the demos. But I'm definitely gonna be tapping in to check you guys out, because one of the,
Absolutely.
the things that I usually get as an interview question and usually give as an interview question if I'm
Hmm.
interviewing people is,
Hmm.
how do you stay current? How do you stay sharp? You know what I mean? So tapping in with Kevin or even
Hmm.
myself, that's a great way of staying sharp and
Absolutely.
staying on top of the game. Listening to podcasts like this one, Ask a CISSP. Tanisha's got a great one on AI. If you're interested in that topic, we
Mm,
had her on the show. There's
okay.
a lot of great podcasts out there that you could be listening
Stats
to.
on stats.
Stats on
Stats on
stats, man.
stats. Yeah, I saw that one.
The
Yeah,
girl
that
would
was
have killed
good.
me.
Yeah, that was good. I was checking that one out.
Big shout out to the Stats on Stats ladies for sure. We can't wait to collaborate with those ladies at the next B
Absolutely.
sides potentially.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
yeah, anything else you want to leave the audience with, man? We got some minutes. You know what I'm saying? We got some time.
Okay.
So
So I think the last thing I would leave with, it can be all consuming, right? I mean, I've been told that you have a certain zeal and a passion for cybersecurity or IT, and it's true. You kind of got to have that. You don't want to get yourself burnt out, because that's a thing as well. So I take breaks, excuse me, throughout my day. I do work from home primarily, but I do take breaks throughout the day to just get away. Sometimes I go outside, take a walk, especially now that it's getting nicer outside. But I also have my music, to my right here. I have all my music. So I may slide over there, play a song or two, and then go back to work, right? So it's those kind of things. And outside of this, outside of the house, I also do mentoring for the Center for Black Male Mentoring in Philadelphia. We mentor young boys, particularly black males, and because we want to help them, reach their potential, right? So I'm developing a STEM program for that outfit, and I hope to get some young men involved in tech, because a lot of times we play the games and we play the technology, but if that's what you like to do, wouldn't you like to actually create the technology that you like to play, right? Change your life. I tell folks all the time, you can change your life with this career, and it's a career. It's not a job to me. This is a career. You can change your life. You can change your zip code. You change where your kids go to school. You could change how you live, but you've got to have the right mindset. Mindset is super important. Super important. So I do a lot of self introspection, a lot of self development. I'm big on law of attraction and things like that, because what you think about, you bring about. So if you're thinking the wrong way, that's how it's typically going to go. It's funny how that works. But if you're thinking the other way, it's amazing when you look at that and you see the outcome of that. That's what changes your life. And once you do it and it happens to you one time, you'd be like, wow, I never knew, right? I never knew it could be like this, right? If someone told me 20 years ago that I'd be doing what I'm doing now, I wouldn't have believed them. I'm saying, what do you mean, man? I'm a sous chef in a restaurant. Like, what are you talking about cybersecurity? What is even cybersecurity? What director? GRC? What are you talking about? Right? But this is where I am now. But what drives me, what keeps me going is, where would I be 5 years from now? Right? That's what you got to say. Like, wow, I never knew it could be like this. I remember when I started out in IT, and I remember when I got my first cyber job, and I remember when I was talking to them tech folks, and I was at this place, and now I'm at this level. Wow, that's crazy, right? So that keeps you going. That ability to look inside yourself and define and decide what you want, and then make that roadmap, make that plan, and then work that plan with
yeah.
consistency. Everything you want is on the other side of consistency.
Well, that at least keeps you going. Vodka keeps me going though.
You've made several vodka references. It's easy to see what the Christmas gift to me, I mean, to you, should be from me. It's easy. It's easy to say.
I promise y'all, I don't have an alcohol problem.
It's all good, bro. It's all good. It's all good. There's some great brands out there. You know what I mean?
I was just showing Ebony the brand that me and my brother got for our birthday on the way back from Kenya.
There you
It was
go.
a dope bottle, but
There you
it's
go.
Hennessy. But
Absolutely.
really appreciate you coming on the show, man. You mentioned the law of attraction. It kind of made me wonder, like, what's your favorite personal development book? I'm sure you got like some
Mhm.
titles.
Oh
What
yeah.
would you recommend to someone?
One book I always recommend is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey.
Stephen Covey, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good one.
I definitely recommend that. It's not a hard read, and if you are fortunate enough to be able to take the class that goes along with that, there's a week long course that's taught by consultants basically, and it kind of puts these things in perspective. Where there's like a group of people, and you break up into groups, and you do exercises and things. It kind of drives the point home more. Of course, that was pre-COVID, right? We talk about everything before and after COVID. So this is before COVID, but the book itself, even the audio book, is good. Is a great read, and it's good to take notes and really look at things in a different way, right? And the certain habits you develop or that you're constantly working on because you're always in development, that can help change your life. Absolutely.
Cool. Any save rounds, Miss Ebony?
Nope. Just gonna shout out to Stats on Stats again.
There you go. There you go.
Go find these
Stats on
books.
Stats.
Go
Absolutely.
sign up for these podcasts.
Absolutely.
Get into these clubhouse rooms. Find yourself a
That's
Philly
right.
pretzel and have the
There you
best
go.
night.
And get some
And
ice
before you
tea,
do any
for
of
sure.
that, like, share, and subscribe to the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I wish I remembered. I can't think of the dates because they have the stats on stats has they have an event that they're planning. I can't think of the dates, but I will definitely be post. Follow us on our socials. You'll get all of the news. You won't have to like wait for Rico to try to remember stuff that he can't
Because he
remember.
will not. Because he will not.
He just turned 40 and he's turning that into the excuse for everything.
Exactly.
All right.
I saw that eye roll. I saw that eye
Well,
roll.
you know what? Thanks so much, everyone, for joining our show.
Oh,
I'm
Rico.
about to play the Oscar music for Rico. He don't want to leave. He don't want to leave.
Rico, Ebony, thank you much. I certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin,
Absolutely.
so much for joining us.
It is my pleasure. I was gonna say it's our pleasure. It is my pleasure.
All right, let's let this recording roll up. Let's see.